Aye.
Thank you. We will call the Committee on City Operations to order at 4 p.m. Please let the record reflect that all committee members are present. And because this committee, the makeup of this committee is completely new with new members, if I could have a motion to place the minutes of December 4th, 2025 meeting minutes to place them on file, I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Okay, proper motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move on to number 4, public comment on agenda items for up to 3 minutes. If you are here to address a specific discussion or action item, you will have an opportunity to speak at that time. Do we have any members of the general public in the room that would like to make a comment?
You're here for the
Yep.
first item.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 5B, resolution on a claim of appeal, claim number 2203. Maria Fletcher for $1,649 in trash fees and $300 in removal fees at 1128 Hickory Street. Is this the resident or the item that you're here today? Okay, if you'd like to take a seat at the table. All right, thank you. First, I'd like to pivot to Director Van Fossen and your team. If you'd like to give your summary or report on this item, and then we'll have the property owner give them an opportunity to speak to it as well.
Sure. The real brief summary that hopefully you'll see in your packet already is that this was cited for a trash violation on November 7th of 24. As a reminder, trash violations have a 7-day compliance period. And so the due date for that was November 14th. We then go, after that compliance due date, we then go to a reinspection to confirm if it's either been complied with on their own. If not, then we're ordered to abate. So we did our reinspect on November 15th, noted that the trash was present. We then submit it to the approved trash vendor on the city side. Generally speaking, they have 10 business days or so to get out there to abate that. My notes say that they were out there on November 27th of 24. Trash was still in violation. Trash wasn't in violation, just it's a learning for those of you who are new to this committee. They wouldn't have proceeded to do anything at that point, but the trash was still there when they arrived on the 27th. So they completed the cleanup. With trash abatements, the same thing goes with grass abatements. That's a cost the city incurs up front, then sends an invoice to the property owner. Property owner doesn't pay, then inevitably it would be transferred to property checks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that summary. Ms. Fletcher, I'm assuming that's your name. Would you mind giving us your first and last name for the record?
Maria Fletcher.
Okay, and could you please tell us about your appeal today? And
I wrote it for you. I'm here to appeal a 1,649 trash violation that was added to my property taxes. This situation began in November 2024 when the Lansing police arrested a man and impounded his truck that was pulling 2 trailers containing trash near my property. The Lansing police left the 2 trailers containing trash on my property. Those trailers were not mine and I had nothing to do with the individual. I immediately called the Lansing Police Department about it. An officer came out, looked at the trailers, made a phone call, and told me not to worry about it, that the police would take care of it. I was never informed that I was responsible for this trailer, never received a notice, and I was never given a chance to address the issue. I only discovered the fine after it was already placed on my property taxes. I already paid out of my pocket for someone to remove the trailers that again were not mine, and I do not believe it is fair that on the top of out of the pocket expense for removing the trailers that I have to pay an additional violation of my taxes for $1,649. This has been extremely stressful as I cannot afford to pay the fine. I did exactly what a responsible property owner is supposed to do. I reported the problem. I rely on what I was told by a city officer. and now I'm being financially punished for a situation created by the Lansing police. Because this situation was caused by events completely out of my control, involved property that wasn't mine, and because I acted in good faith, I respectfully ask that the violation be removed. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. We've all received the packet of information along with a copy of the police report that was referenced about that vehicle. So I'd like to open it up to committee members if you have any direct questions, either for EDP or for Ms. Fletcher.
Raleigh, these trailers, I think that she said that someone was arrested near her property, but it looks like in these pictures, were these trailers disabled?
We never set a notice for disabled trailers or
Right.
trailers at all, only for trash.
And it looks like in the photos, these are pretty far back in the yard. Like not, I'm just trying to envision how this happened with LPD saying,
I can't, so I'm gonna try to get to the question, but I'm gonna back up for a second as a reminder to you know, others that for it to be on city ops agenda today means it went through claim review and it was denied there. I say that because I believe, I could tag the attorney's
Okay.
office, I believe there was some research or efforts done on the police side. So their response.
what do you got?
So at the claims review committee, the veracity of the allegation was looked into. So the police report itself references a pickup truck that the individuals that were arrested in relation to the crime were near, parked along the street near the property, and that the items were located in the vehicle. There's no reference in the report at all of any trailers. First of all, that's on the first one. The second one is the two trailers located on the property at issue that's being raised. It's a good claim, and the pickup to be towing two trailers outside of that. And then thirdly, the items that were, I don't want to speak to the overall claim or crime, but the items that were alleged at least to have been stolen from the nearby property were located, or were items that were, again, in itself. Finally, the property was purchased by the current owner on October 29th, 2024. And the incident that led to the crime that's being discussed in this matter occurred on November 1st, 2024. So we're talking about 2 days there. And based on the circumstances of the allegations in the police report, as well as the fact and circumstances of this, it's more likely that the trailers were likely located on the property when the property was purchased by this individual. And while she may not have put the trailers on the premises herself, the property owner is still liable to make sure that their premises is maintained pursuant to the code.
And then I'm looking at the Google map of this property right now, actually. It's an alleyway property, and then I see the spot where these trailers were. It's like between the alley and then there's a fence. All right. Was there any question about a property line there? I don't know where does their property line end at the alleyway or the fence?
That was not looked into, that I can tell from.
Just looking at the photos where this page 33 where it's sitting, you can see the white garage, which I can see in the Google images, and it looks like it's, the backyard is fenced and the fence ends, and then there's this kind of weird spot. I guess I'd be curious as to the ownership of the entire parcel or just the fence line.
Best I could do is look at it now.
The Ingham County parcel map.
Say, let's do it first.
Probably be me.
Thank
You
you.
must not be in the Wi-Fi.
No, I already learned that lesson.
So it looks like it's a corner lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, good 2025. Ooh, they got a new aerial image.
Got my glasses on.
Okay, so it does appear that the parcel line ends here.
Or the alley.
Okay. So it goes all the way to the alley. I know it's not,
That's not technically, yes, it's not a meets and bounds legal description, but that's what it says.
I only have a gum as prize for first place on that. All right. So that answers that question. I guess my next question on this is the code officer that went out there. I mean, the pictures are real close up. Do you know, like, did it look like it had been sitting there for a long time? I mean, weeds grown up around it. You can see it a little bit, but I can't really tell. There's a flat tire on this one.
Our notes don't reflect the fact that necessarily, because it's. I recognize the question. I understand it. It's not necessarily something they look for.
Yeah.
It's either trash present or not.
And I think this is the alley that we did a ride along down, so I'm familiar with this.
If I'm allowed, Madam Chair, a question I had as I look through this in my role is then to the homeowner, if I may, is in the original statement that's in the claim review packet, it makes a note that they did receive a letter from the city. They believe regarding the trailers, our records indicated it was the trash on the trailers. But I think if I heard correctly in your statement today, you're claiming you've received nothing from footage.
For the first time when the city went and took care of this trash. And I just want to add that I did a walkout before I bought the house and no trailers were there. So I went ahead and went and closed on the house. So I don't know when exactly they appeared there, you know? So, but when I called the police officer, that's what he told me, that they arrested a man who was pulling these trailers and they put them in my property because they were on the road. So he acknowledged that the Lansing police put the trailers in my property. So the second time, no second time, but I never received any notice that I needed to take care of it. Because when I spoke with the Lansing police officer that came, he told me not to worry about it, that they would take care of it. So in good faith, I believe the police officer. So I didn't do anything. But if he would have told me that I needed to take care of it, I would have done it right away because that's the law. So the notice that I got, it was because of the trailer still being there with trash, but also the question that I had it at that time, and I called Officer Dulcie right after I got this notice, why the trailers were not picked up with the trash, because still we're trashing. And then so Officer Dulcie never called me. I called him 3 times. He called me until 2 weeks later. So I went ahead and I paid out of my pocket $350 for the trash plus the trailers to be removed. And I never was informed that I already was fined for $1,649. I only noticed that when I received my tax property bill, and it was included on it.
I do have a quick question. So there's an opinion, or maybe it's been stated that based on the purchase of the property and the crime that was committed and outlined in this police report, it was a matter of a few days. So, and then again, looking at the pictures and the contents of what were in the trailer, those contents don't match up with what is listed in the police report, at least that I've seen. And then I also, I did read the full report. I didn't see any mention of leaving a trailer at another location. So I was making those comparisons along the way as well. And so I do have a question on a notice, and forgive me because I'm not as familiar with these notices. I do see on page 17, there is trash and an enforcement number, print date, August 12th of 2025 for 1128 Hickory Street, and it appears that it was mailed to an address in California. Is that correct?
Is it the one violation date, November 7th, 2024?
8/12/2025 print date.
Yeah, that's the print date, 8/12/2025, violation date, 12/5/2024.
Unfortunately, I don't have page numbers. in my head. Thanks.
That must have been when the FOIA was filed.
Would that be a previous owner of the property
Oh.
that it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Oh, I'm,
this notice, if I may, is a result of the balance showing zero is because they didn't pay within the 30 days that is due to us.
Mhm.
So 30 days after, so on
Billing.
11/27, vendor picks up the trash, submits an invoice to us, we invoice the owner. Let's say that all wrapped up in January of 25, twice a year then, if it goes unpaid to us, we transfer to city tax.
Mhm.
So that would have occurred likely in May of 25. And then they must have paid their summer tax bill or something where this was owed, because once we transfer to tax, it shows zero balance on our system within code enforcement. And so this August 25 print date is likely as a result, I believe, the property owner FOIA, not just the police, but also our office. If not, claim review committee would have requested those items. So when it shows date of 12/5/24 and then the adjustment, that's just.
It's not a notice for enforcement purposes.
This is not a notice of enforcement.
okay, and then as well, there's another notice on page 13, trash and debris correction notice.
That is a notice of.
Again, mailed to an address in California.
Sure.
Ms. Fletcher, you didn't receive that notice, I assume? You don't reside in California.
I would say, so that is the previous owner.
Okay,
Our system relies on the assessing office inputting property transfer affidavits. And we rely on the assessor's office to complete that. And then and from their end, it updates BSNA for the entire city's use. So when we do enforcements for a specific property and we issue that enforcement, it automatically draws whoever the assessing office has of the owner. My guess, since they bought it on 10/29 by 11/7,
it hadn't been updated.
updated. But with these enforcements, you'll see on the very next page, which is why we also send a copy direct to the house.
To the house itself.
And that's where
I
I,
did see that, and I was just curious, but I did note that Ms. Fletcher lives in Grand Ledge, is that correct? So,
Correct, but there is a mailbox on the property. I always check it and we didn't receive anything. So it wasn't delivered there.
I have a, sorry to interject. I have a
is can I ask a question?
different question because I'm new in general, not just to this committee. Can someone help me understand the claim is that there was a conversation had with the resident with a police officer, right? And then a code enforcement officer comes out to the property and writes the ticket, right? I'm curious about what's the conversation being had between the police and the code enforcement officer? Did code compliance go out there because of the officer? Was there any correspondence?
as far as our records indicate, we were not called to this property as a result of a police referral. We were either called because, again, our officers are out doing, driving their set perimeter. And as they see things, they'll do enforcements, or it could have been a Lansing Connect anonymous complaint, but our notes do not indicate that we received a referral from the police department to address this matter. Which is why the previous question in asking the homeowner, their original letter to the claimant review committee notes that they received a letter regarding trailers. I would be interested to see that. I only say it because we would be the office to enforce and issue anything regarding a trailer on a property, and we haven't done so. The only enforcement we've taken for this property is specific to the trash. So if they've got a letter from the city regarding trailers, I am not sure where that came from or who.
It appears that there's another violation, a separate trash violation on 3/6/25 for this property, which would match up with that receipt that's in here. Perhaps that's what she's talking about that she cleaned up, was the second trash violation because it was closed.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it.
page is the receipt you're looking at?
The receipt was on, you don't have page numbers, how's that gonna?
I do not.
Thanks, Renee.
It's, oh, I know, I saw it. At the front of it, somewhere, it's, page 9. That looks like March 10th.
This, from my review, is this a receipt from you paying somebody to remove the trailers yourself?
And trash that was left in there too.
This receipt, to my knowledge,
It wasn't my trash, neither my trailers.
I don't know that this $350 is tied to any of our
It's
enforcement.
not paid to the city.
No, and I know. I think that's where because I'm getting confused about, the city came before this, but then there was stuff. It sounds like the stuff had to have appeared after we cleared that out.
But for this particular receipt,
Correct.
Yes,
yes, you're saying there was a.
there has to have been a subsequent,
That she then complied.
correct. Is what I'm saying.
We don't have any trash enforcements on our end after November of 24.
1128 Hickory.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, I do take that back.
I see one.
There's one in March of 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
think we
that's
did-
that's the date of the receipt.
That's the date. They did it themselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Oh, yes, I see what, separate.
So it wasn't the trailers that were cleaned up then, because the city wouldn't have left those. I mean,
We would not remove the trailers, no, not under the trash enforcement.
okay, but the next enforcement would certainly have not been. It was trash, so it wouldn't be for a trailer. It would be perhaps the trailers were still on site and filled up with trash again.
Maybe.
Thank you. That was my question.
Yes.
Because if the trash was removed previously, but the trailers remained, and then,
Either a new trailer was brought or an existing one, as I'm looking at this picture here, more trash was put into it.
Ma'am, are you doing renovations inside? Were you doing renovations?
No, I wasn't at that time. And then the trailers that are in there in the pictures, when I FOIA requested, there are the 2 trailers that were left there. That's when I called the police. There were 2 trailers. Then the trailers remained there and somebody came and dropped trash again on them. That wasn't my trash. And because they're so close to the alley, I don't have a camera there. I couldn't see who it was. So when I got the letter, I took care of it right away. Even though I was expecting to talk to Officer Dulcie regarding this, he never called me back. So I paid for somebody to come pick the trash and remove the trailers too, because I didn't want, again, somebody to come and throw more trash in that area. Every week I go there to clean trash because people come and dispose trash there. There is an alley in the road and there is always bottles of alcohol. There is all kinds of things in there that I take care every week.
And I appreciate that, and I understand your frustration with this situation. But, you know, it's my opinion, when you purchase a, property that's going to be a rental property, which I suspect this one was going to be, I don't know how you would miss these 2 trailers full of trash in your backyard, when you close so close to when this violation letter was sent out. And then again, another trash violation a few months later. I would be keeping a closer eye on your house, and I understand that it may not be your trash, but at the end of the day, it ends up on if someone puts trash on my property, it becomes my responsibility, and I have to clean it up, whether I put it there or not. And that's, you know, I understand your frustration, but this seems pretty
But
cut
can I
and
say
dry.
something? I understand that, sir. I mean, I'm sorry, I understand that. However, I took action on it. I called the police right away when I saw the trailers with the trash. An officer came. He went and made a phone call and came back and said, we arrested somebody. We had to put the trailers on your property. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. So if he would have told me that I needed to take care of it, I would have taken care of it. to avoid this fee of $1,649.
Yeah, I do have a comment and then another question. I understand that because it can feel like all of these different items are all one issue for you. In the city, the police officer is not necessarily going to contact another department because there are trailers or have that expertise on the fees for, you know, a trailer on a property, what that might mean for you down the road. So there's that. Also, I don't necessarily disagree with Councilman Cost. Because when we do purchase properties for a rental or that's our own property, ultimately we do bear the burden of maintaining and keeping up that property. I do have a question on the amount of trash that was there, and after you noticed it was gone, did you question that at all? And then when there was more trash on the premises at a later time, like I'm just curious how did you reconcile that? I mean, did you question
I did, that's what I call Officer Dowsey, because to ask him
when
what,
the trash was removed?
yes, and also right after I got, yeah, when I was in, no call from him back. Then when I got the notice again, I did call him again. I placed 3 phone calls to him, no phone calls back from him. So it's very frustrating that you try to attempt to reach somebody for questions and answers, but there is no questions and answers. I also did a FOIA request to see who the police officer was. When I called the city of Lansing, they told me to reach to Ingham County. I did, and they told me that I needed to contact the city of Lansing, which I did twice, and they say there's no such records. So it's very frustrating too.
So,
Councilman Cost?
okay, I'm trying to follow this. The police officer that came, do you remember what he looked like at all?
It was a female, I don't, right?
Okay.
You were there with me?
No.
It's a female. Unfortunately, I don't
and
remember
The
her name.
car they pulled over, I'm really trying to understand this. One car had 2 trailers. I don't see, what was it? Were the people living in the house that were doing this? And,
I was there when.
okay,
May we have your name, please?
Yes, you say your name.
Dan Fletcher.
Yeah.
And she said that they arrested a person last night. They impounded the truck and then the trailers. I think she said that they were stolen, like stolen property, or I don't know what.
I wish someone would steal the used tires in my
And
crash.
she said that they moved the trailers on her property to get them off the street. Which
I will be honest, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I have never, ever heard of LPD, let alone taking a car out of the road. I'm surprised they even impounded a car, let alone push these trailers to what looks like a fence line.
Property,
Yeah.
exactly, over a fence line. That was.
I have
another
never,
question.
in 30, well, doesn't matter how many, 30 something years, seeing LPD do that. So, and, you know, there's no phone call record. I'm not saying, you know, that I'm not making judge here,
She told me.
I know. And so I understand your frustration, but this just isn't adding up for me. To get to that level where I feel comfortable saying, you know, I think that you have a case in what you're saying. It's just, I don't think I've ever heard of LPD pushing a trailer, especially a trailer like this. I would assume, and especially if there were 2 trailers with this truck, it would have been in this police report, which it's not.
Yeah, and I don't understand how, again, 2 trailers, was a trailer taken and left and then another trailer picked up and brought back to that same exact spot. And then it's not referenced at all in the police report. And again, the contents of what are in the trailers are not even referenced within the police report of items that might have been taken. The trailers themselves, I didn't see where that was referenced, that the trailer would be a stolen item. that these folks were leaving and disposing of. So with that, I just want to make sure, are there any other questions from committee members at this time?
I do have just a couple more, just because I'm
Sure.
new. So, and I don't think this is necessarily for EDP, maybe it's for you, I'm not sure. Could you talk a little bit about, well, I guess, and for you guys, is there like a fence or something, or is it just like direct access into that property? I don't know if you were able to see it all.
It was difficult to see from the pictures.
Right, like, if I were going down the alley, is there a fence like on that specific property? I could just go straight into the lawn? You know what I'm saying?
From the street or from the alley?
From the alley.
I don't know the answer. I'm just trying.
I guess my question for you is, can you talk a little bit about what the relationship would be like in, I guess, a police officer having a conversation like that with somebody?
Not sure what you mean. What relationship?
Like, why would a conversation like that occur? Like, to make a promise or a supposed promise to take care of some, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm an officer and I'm having a conversation with him and he's saying that X, Y, and Z happened, and I say, we'll take care of it, like, what is like the likelihood of that happening? Or is that even in like the practice of what, like Brian said, like any police officer saying something like that? Like, is that part of the protocol?
I don't believe it would be part of the protocol, but I would have to go in. I can't answer that right here at the table, but from my knowledge here personally, I don't believe that would be part of protocol for an officer to make such an alert.
And it, like, the chair said, it would be unlikely for someone in the police department to contact code for something like that.
It's not unlikely, but it's not a requirement. As it relates to trash specifically on property, that would be a matter for EDP to enforce, not the police department. And so
I think I can put this, if there's a responding police officer and they believe there's a reason for someone from EDP, a code enforcement officer from EDP to be at the premises while or in relation to an unrelated matter that that LP is there for, they might call code to respond to whatever that item is.
Okay.
But I believe what Director Van Fossen said is that there was no such communication in this particular instance.
correct. And generally for trash specific, we don't get those.
Correct, yes. It's unlikely that a police officer would then say, we need to call code over here for the trash in the yard.
Or to say, we'll take care of this for you.
Example of when
That
they,
is-
That's what I'm sorry, I'm not being very articulate, but that's what I'm specifically asking.
for that specifically, no, we generally don't get those types of calls from them. Generally, they're calling us for, this is a red tag house with a open window or an open first floor door or something. And so forth from that.
So in no practice previously, would a police officer call and say, we're gonna take care of this for somebody, and then call your office and you just take care of that?
I can't speak for the police department, but I can say from our end, we do an annual presentation to the police department. And that is not a system we train them on from our perspective.
Thank you.
I just make a quick comment. According to the FOIA request that I did, I read that the person that was arrested, he pulled trash. That was part of his job. And that's where those trailers were containing trash and belonged to him. So I didn't understand the context of this until the police told me that this was the man that was arrested. If you can read the FOIA request there that I did, I provided a copy of it. This man was arrested close to my house, and then that's what he did. So clearly those were not my trash, they were not my trailers. I didn't put them in there. So that's mainly why the reason I'm here and I'm feeling this.
Well, and yeah, this is my ward that I represent, and this area has been just inundated with this kind of stuff. And I sympathize and I understand what you're saying to me, but my sympathy only goes so far. I mean, you bought the house for $27,000, right? And it's a new listing and it's beautiful on the inside for $104,000. So I would move the
Yes.
denial of the claim. Unfortunately, it's gonna have to come out of your profits of selling the house, but at this point, I see no evidence.
I won't have any profits if you want to know, so, but it's,
I would-
it's, it's
Excuse me,
disappointing.
we have a motion on the table. So it's been moved to deny the claim. Any further discussion on the motion itself? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And at this point, is it done or?
Yes, so it's moved out of committee. It will go
Okay.
in front of city council on Monday, the 26th. It starts at the meeting starts at 7 PM. You'll have opportunity to speak at that point. It's like public council,
Correct.
like 3 minutes if you want to.
It's not this the purpose. I just know that I'll never buy another property in Lansing the way I have been treated. No notice or anything. The way they treated residents, that's how the city is going. Thank you.
Moving on the agenda, item 5C, the resolution for a traffic control order number 25-19. Regulate parking along the 1100 block of West Ottawa Street.
Thank you, Chair. Mitch Whistler, City of Lansing
Thank
Public
you.
Service Department. Public Service Department received a request from the Parking Service Office to review the existing parking regulations along the 1100 block West Ottawa Street. They were looking to increase the amount of available parking in this block. Based on their request, we went out, reviewed the street geometry, and we found that we didn't feel that there would be an issue with accommodating their requests. So we're making a recommendation that parking be allowed along the south side of Ottawa Street from Lahoma Street to 500 feet east of Lahoma Street. You can see it is depicted in the diagrams.
Okay, any questions from committee members on this determination? Right,
I don't have any questions. The street looks nice and wide.
it does look nice and wide. I do have a general question though, and again, forgive me as well, as my first time serving on this particular committee. When you make these determinations and these items are moving forward, do the neighbors in that area or businesses receive notice? And if so, at what point in time?
Usually if we're making something more prohibitive or we're making it more prohibitive, we will do a survey. Let residents know with regard to that. If we're making it less restrictive, we don't always necessarily notify. In this case, there was no survey done.
And I assume that's, I know I mentioned that the street was wide, but it's this side, right, that we're doing the regulation on the thinner side. I'm assuming that's because everybody is in the wrong lane getting down there because of parking.
Yeah, well, especially with that one at the approach, I don't know where my technician exactly took the picture from, but
Yeah, I think it's looking down.
you got the approach at the signal. So
Yeah.
there, that's why we prohibited the parking in that
Yeah.
section, make it wider for the turning movements, as well as stacking, queuing the cars
Sure.
approaching the intersection. And then once it gets beyond that point where you could have the queue of cars, we determined that we could allow parking from there on.
And this area gets pretty wild around 5 o'clock still.
We do have some complaints with regard to speeds occasionally on Ottawa in that section, and the addition of parking would provide some side friction, as we call it, to potentially reduce speeds, not guaranteed.
I don't have any other questions.
There a motion on this item?
Sure, if there's a motion to put forth, pass, approve, I don't know. This particular traffic control order, right, to regulate, what is the order? Sorry. Order number 2519.
Okay, so resolution has been moved. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is item 5D, the resolution for the traffic control order number 25-24 to install a yield sign on eastbound West Shiawassee Street at Inverness Avenue and West Shiawassee Street.
Chair, we received a request from a resident to assign right of way at this intersection. If you're familiar, it's quite unique.
Yes, I am familiar with that intersection. Absolutely.
And so we conducted an investigation to determine the site distance requirements. And that's where we go out, take measurements of obstructions approaching the intersection. Based on those obstructions, we put it into a graph, tells us what the speed is, where you could safely approach the intersection, come to a stop with somebody still being able to see you and stop at the same time. Based on our study, we determined that, let's see, there were no site obstructions. So really wasn't an issue with the safe approach speed. There also were no crashes within this intersection. However, based on its unique geometry, we still are recommending that the installation of a yield sign be installed for eastbound Shiawassee.
So, and I'm sure the resident who brought this to our attention and requested that would appreciate a yield sign there. Any questions or comments from committee members?
I'm just glad there's going to be a yield sign because I keep driving over the median in that neighborhood.
It is a source of confusion for me every time I approach that
I know.
intersection. Am I doing it right? Am I, so
I still get lost in that neighborhood.
it's like figure eight at some point.
Didn't I just pass this house 20 minutes ago?
Yeah,
It's the double loop.
right. All right. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I can make the motion. I'd like to make the motion to pass this resolution number 2524.
Okay, and that is to install a yield sign on eastbound West Shiawassee Street at Inverness Avenue and West Shiawassee Street. All those in favor, please say aye.
Hey,
All right, motion passes. The last item on our agenda today, item 5E, the resolution regarding a traffic control order number 25-25 to install a yield sign on South Kenbrook Road at LaBelle Street.
Thank you, Chair. We received a request from a resident to review the traffic control requirements at this intersection. We did a safe approach speed study. This is an uncontrolled residential intersection. Based on our approach speed study, we identified that the safe approach speed was 13 mile per hour, and that was due to a large spruce tree located in the northwest quadrant of the intersection. Generally, we don't try to require the residents to remove trees. We look at the installation traffic control measures first. There were no accidents identified in the most recent 5 year that we studied. With this being noted and the safe approach speed of 13, 10 mile an hour is normally our cutoff for stop signs. 15 mile an hour is a yield. Anything above 15 is kind of subject to engineering judgment. So based on our findings, we're recommending that a yield sign be installed on Kenbrook Road at LaBelle Street.
Okay, and thank you. I just have one brief question, and this is more about process with these types of actions. So we have two where a resident had requested some sort of study, and now, fast forward to today and we're in committee. What is the time frame that you're typically able to address those type of requests?
It depends on the type of request. As far as traffic control response, usually that's not long to do. It's just whether the workload, what we have going on. It could take from the request, it could take 30 days. It could take 3-4 months, just depending on what else we have going on at the time. But we try to address them as soon as we can. And as you can see, our reports, as soon as it started, this one was November, once the report was begun. Here it is January, where we're bringing it forward. So this one took, a few months to get through our system. We try to, once we get an approval of installation of our signs, generally, once we go out and stake it, our goal is to get it installed within 30 days. Otherwise, mistake ends up being invalid after a certain period, and then we have to do it again and start the clock all over.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
I definitely would like to give credit to Mitch on, getting in front of these, because I was on this committee when we had that huge pile of backups and
Oh,
the work was already done. but it was, COVID and the whole 9 yards. So I appreciate the fact that, these are coming quickly and, you're killing all my fun now, so I can't do any Tokyo drift on that corner anymore.
And it just takes one person to request the study, like you don't need support from the neighborhood association or anything.
As far as like a stop sign, yield sign, that is correct. If it's parking, there's actually within the ordinance that there has to be a petition that's filled out to make any parking modifications. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do it on our own, but if it's coming from a resident, it needs to be via petition.
Just get really into yield signs.
Okay, any other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, I would entertain a resolution.
I'm
sorry, motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution, traffic control order number 2525, install a yield sign on southbound Kenbrook Road at LaBelle Street.
Okay, proper motion has been made. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. No other items on the agenda. We're adjourned at 4:46. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you?
Nothing.
No.
That's my word.
Okay.
That is vintage now.
Okay, we are adjourned at 4:46 PM. Thank you.